Hey, friend, thank you for joining another episode of Learning How to Master Your Mentality. Now, today I'm actually going to be talking about not only mastering your mentality, but tying that with the emotional response of that fight, flight, or freeze, linking together rage and anxiety. And you'll also see how depression kind of pops up and intermingles in this mix as well. Now, again, this is just totally on this path of mastering your mentality is to really understand yourself. It's a path of mastery. So I want to dive in, and today I'm going to be linking together two books, a book of Rage by this Dr. Potter Efron, and that book of Rewiring Your Anxious Mind by Dr. Pittman. Now, these two have, you start to see this fight, flight, or freeze response, how it links together our natural, hardwired, biological brain to keep us protected. The main thing is to keep us protected, but it also keeps us from really experiencing fulfillment. And I'm going to tell you why. In this whole week, I'm going to be diving down deeper and deeper. But it really starts with two different types of ways that this happens. And I'm going to give you like four different main legs of the potential triggers that cause you to either go into a fit of anxiety or just a straight up rage over excessive anger. Neither one of these is going to help you live a happy life and want to be around other people or people be around you. All right. So if you like this stuff, make sure you drop a comment because I'd love to see some feedback and how I can better help you. All right, so let's see here. Let's just jump right into the first type. Now, this is going to be a seething rage, for example. And as we talked about in my other episode, using that big old cortex of yours to think about scenarios and play them out in your head. And if you have a negative light kind of shining on it, it's going to look like this. So, worrying, for example, is a future event that you're thinking about all the worst things that could go wrong. And so, this entire time leading up to something you got to do, or new friends you want to meet, or a speech you got to give, something like that, you're constantly thinking to yourself of what could go wrong. And now, this is going to be a painful journey, and you're not enjoying that path at all. But if you say this already happened, okay? Now let's say something happened, and now all of a sudden you're using that big old brain to keep thinking about all the ways it went wrong. You're thinking about it over and over, you're ruminating over and over. And this could lead you to get very pissed off. It could also, that's what leads to depression. Okay, so you see just how your brain, how you're using this big, powerful brain, either in a negative light or a positive light, is going to look like no matter what happens, I love myself. No matter who I meet, I know I still always got my back. Just by changing up some of the way you talk to yourself, the language in which you use is going to pretty much determine whether you have an extraordinarily great fucking life or something that's pretty miserable. Because you are with yourself nonstop 24/7, right? And in your head, depending on how mindful you are. And that's why I'm such an advocate of mindfulness and cognitive behavioral therapy. Understanding what you're thinking and how that affects your feelings, how that affects your behaviors, how you show up in the world. So this is kind of what I include in mastering your mentality. So now let's jump into a sudden rage or a sudden emotional response. Again, we're talking about this is more of the amygdala. This is what sends that response to your body, shoots up the adrenaline, and you're just ready. Now, if you happen to be the rager, okay, something that, again, you perceive as a threat, not necessarily logically. This doesn't include that big brain we talked about earlier. This includes these emotional memories, right? Something that you'll notice your patterns, certain things that set you off and trigger you, either to freeze and lock up or just start sweating bullets, your heart's beating out of your chest, and you think I gotta leave, I gotta flee, I gotta get the hell out. Or you stand and say, oh, I'm ready to bang. And you just start throwing shit, you be real loud instead of getting caught up in your head, because you can still take this event, this response, and you can think about it, which further shoots you down into rage or anxiety or just a total frozen, paralyzed fear. Again, obviously, none of these are healthy, super exhausting, and your life is on shaky ground. You don't know when it's going to happen because you don't understand it. And so that can be another scary little thing. But once you start to understand it more and more, and you are exposed to it, and you respond in a healthier way, you're actually teaching your body, you're teaching your brain how to neurologically, this is proven by science, but to rewire your neurons so that they fire differently. So if you have this emotional response, instead of freaking the fuck out, you say you take a break, you take a breath, you take a time out, you think about the situation differently, you look around, you see there is no real threat. If you're able to have enough separation and distance to do this, all of a sudden you're telling your mind and your body, oh, I don't need to freak out so bad. So by doing this, you're starting to actually have more control of not only your emotions, but your mentality. So, as I said before, I'm going to give you 4 different major legs or reasons or triggers as to why this could possibly happen. Now, for example, the first one being survival, we kind of talked about. If there is like an immediate threat to your person, that's going to either send you, again, to fight, flight, or freeze. You're either going to freak the fuck out, get into a brawl, you're going to want to get the hell out of there, and you're going to freeze up like a bunny rabbit. Don't move a muscle. You also have abandonment, for example. So this happened like divorced kids. My dad took off. Now all of a sudden that carries over to an adult. It's like everybody I get really close to, I actually want to push them away. I got this walls, this protection built up to like really protect my feelings, because I remember in the past how bad that hurt. So let's say, for example, somebody I'm really close to says they're going to leave. Okay. Now, instead of getting real sad or shutting down, which could very well easily happen, or I get really fucking pissed, right? And all of a sudden you get, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Wait a minute. If you have enough clarity, breathe, hang on a second. Because what happens then? Just like anything, you're pushing them further away, right? And this is happening. So what the very thing that you're most afraid of is the very thing you're most likely to do. Push them away, be abandoned. Another leg would be shame-based. So this really ties into anxiety very well. Is if you're like, if your parents were like, shame on you, you can't be like that, you can't say that. So naturally you repress all these, I can't do that anymore. I gotta shove these feelings way down. And by doing that and telling yourself, hey, I can't be my true self, I gotta fucking hide this. So again, naturally, by doing that, you're shaming yourself now. God, I said I wouldn't do that anymore. Well, you want to naturally come out, but you're just trying to push it down, and so that can lead to again anxiety. Somebody's calling this out, and oh my God, they're gonna find out, or it can lead you to get very pissed off. What the fuck did you say? Now I'm gonna give it one kind of similar, but much different, and this is the impotent, meaning like hopeless or helpless. I'm going to give you another personal example. So I got this concrete company right next door. I'm sure I've talked about it before. Beeping, whirling, grinding, noisy all the fucking time. And I'm sitting here trying to make a video, and I hear all this going on. And okay, hey, you try to separate yourself. Hey, it's out there, right? That's external factor. But you'll start to realize that everything I'm talking about has an internal factor. Because again, we're thinking about it. We're feeling it start to bubble up. And when you have anxiety, you feel your heart start beating out of your chest. You think, oh my God, I'm going to die. It flings you into a frenzy. So same when you have this external helplessness, hopelessness also leads highly to depression. By understanding this again, knowing that, hey, this is something that I can take control over because it's how I think about it. How am I thinking about it? So at the end of the day, it's all about reframing. Hey, let's try to get a positive spin. And as we go on throughout this week, I'm going to tell you more about different practical ways that you can actually help reduce and eliminate your rage and anxiety for good. All right, friends, I hope this helped. Hey, if you like more information, you can click on that link below. We can set up a little appointment. All right, until next time, signing out.